All
Well,
right.
good evening. I'll get Stacey. Want me to get started? I'll get started, and then we'll
Yep.
jump in. It's okay, honey. You come down as soon as you're ready. We'll be on here for a little bit. Sorry about that. So, hey everybody. Good evening. I'm Kristen, one of your coaches, and Stacey is here as well. And we are so excited that you joined us tonight. We like to do these Zoom calls every so often, especially with new kinds of groups where we can come together and really build some sense of community and camaraderie and help support each other. And so we're so excited for you to be on this call. What we want to do tonight, and it's only going to be about 30 minutes. That's about the allotment of time we have before our Zoom might kick us out. But wanted to do quick introductions. So if you could quickly go around, and maybe we'll just call your name if you can quickly introduce yourself. And what we're going to do tonight really is just recap where we've been. We want to talk a little bit about where we're going for next week, and to ask you some questions and to give you an opportunity to ask us any questions that you have as we lead into week 3 of our group. Okay, so Stacey, let me start with you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
All right. I am Stacey Warzak. I am a wife, a mom of 3. I've been a coach for 3 years. And my first round of the Eat More Fat, I'm on day 28 myself. So I feel in the same boat as you ladies do, learning every day. Kristen's been amazing, her information that she's been sharing. And I just am very thankful for this way of eating. It's been awesome so far. Karen, you want to go next? Oh, Karen's frozen. Liz, you go next.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm a teacher. I'm a mother of 2, so I'm kind of always on the run. A week into this, and I'm starting to finally feel like, oh, this is really feeling really good, and kind of working on how we can kind of do this more long term. Been a coach for a couple months now, so trying to fit that in as well. So glad to be a part of the team.
All right, Angela, can you hear me?
I can. How are you guys?
Good.
My vlog. I gotta go. Oh, hold on. I'm leaving. I can't hear anything. The TV's on.
Oh.
Okay. Hello, guys. I'm a mom of 5, Kristen's sister-in-law. And I think I've done this for about 3 weeks. So, feeling pretty good, though. You know?
Good.
There.
Kelly?
Okay. Done.
Thanks, Ange.
Hi.
Aww.
Hi.
Awesome. Thanks, Ange. I'm glad you're here. Amy, how about you?
Where's your mommy? Where's mommy?
Are you asking about me?
Yeah. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I've been doing the intermittent fasting for probably about 3 weeks as well, and it's doing pretty well. I really am appreciating that water jug idea because drinking water has really been something I've struggled with for so long. This weekend I didn't do so well because I'm used to kind of the consistency of a daily, just the routine of the work day and having the jug beside me, but looking forward to get back in the routine on Tuesday. So I just looking for some more varieties of food to eat so I just don't get bored with this, but I am having success and feel overall well.
Good. Karen, can you hear me? Can you go next? I don't know if I can hear you, Karen.
Hear me?
Yep, I sure can. Go ahead.
So I just got on to the audio, so I didn't hear what we're supposed to be doing.
It's okay. Okay, so we are just going to introduce ourselves. Tell us how you feel, a little bit about you.
Okay. I feel great. I've had no problem with sticking to the 8-hour window. Haven't felt hungry. I've lost 3.6 pounds since Monday, and today, since March 13th, I've lost 20 pounds. Before the current eating plan, I was doing the 21-day fixed nutrition.
Great job. All right, Amy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
This is so weird for me. I've never done anything like this before, so I'm happy to be here. I'm a longtime fan of Kristen O'Connor, and I would do anything that she does. And so, yeah, I started reading about what she was doing. It's awesome, and so I'm feeling pretty good too. And it's my bedtime, so I'm awake right now. Amazing.
That's great. Awesome. I think we got everybody, right? We got everybody. So so I'll start here. So as most of you know, if you don't know, I also am a coach, of course, and I've been coaching for 2 years. And as I introduced in our group when we first got started, I came into this way of eating because for the past year, I've been truly struggling with chronic bloat and inflammation just out of the blue. Been pretty fit for my entire life, and so to kind of carry around a 5 to 6 month looking pregnant belly and go through very strict elimination diets and lots of doctor's appointments and specialists and tests and every supplement you can imagine to try to kill off whatever is going on with my body just didn't work. And I had started researching intermittent fasting as well as low carb, high fat nutrition, and thought to myself before my doctor actually said to me, there's just probably either you have to go on medication or you're just going to have to live with it because there's nothing medically wrong that we can find. And that's just not acceptable to me. I'm not just going to start medication because that's the next thing. And that tends to happen, right? So we have this overly medicated society, but we've learned that food can heal our bodies. And so I was just like, you know what, I am going to try this, and have been really, truly supported by some expert folks in the industry that have been doing this for years. And as I've mentioned in our group, I'm a part of another diet beta test. I can't talk a lot about that just because there's some confidential stuff, but I'm trying to share a lot of what I'm learning as we go through that group. And it is all around the science underpinning intermittent fasting and low carb, high fat nutrition. So that's what Stacy and I are bringing to you over the course of our 28 days together. So we started off week 1 with a full week of prep, and I know that there was a lot of information shared, but we felt like we wanted this to be different for you because you need to understand as much as you can the science behind this approach, because sometimes, and this is where we got caught for decades, we have been inundated with information and with quote unquote research that we had to eat 5 to 6 meals a day, that we had to eat every 2 to 3 hours, that eating low carb, low fat was what we needed to do, that that high cholesterol was a result of high fats, saturated fat diets, that we had to eat more protein. We've been told all of these things, and we've kind of bought into them, right? We kind of just accepted that. And so we have now a chronically obese society that when we had this move toward low carb, low fat, that's when our obesity issues really started to rise in the United States of America. And there's really no science behind some of those things that we have kind of grown up to learn and to appreciate until now. So in the last few years, probably over the last 10 years or so, scientists and dietitians and medical doctors are paying more attention to what the science actually does say about the way our metabolism works, the way that weight loss resistance can be combated, the way that we can really improve our overall health. And the science underpinning this approach is solid. And so That's not to say that those of you who have done Beachbody programs, for example, like the 21-Day Fix Nutrition and portion control, there's something to be said for portion control and clean eating. And so there's a lot of utility and value in 21-Day Fix portion control. And Stacy and I are not ever saying that those programs aren't effective. There is not one size fits all, though, for every single person. I lost all of my baby weight with the 21-Day Fix. I know Stacy had phenomenal results with 21-Day Fix, but my issues, for example, my overall gut health it's not responding to portion control. That's not my issue. What I need to do is to find another way for my body to heal itself. And that's what happens with intermittent fasting when you give your body the rest it needs to do the work it has to do. It can't rest when you're eating every 2 hours, no matter what you're eating. You can be eating the cleanest diet under the sun, and if your body just needs to regenerate, it needs to reduce that inflammation, it needs the time to do its work. So that's really a little bit about kind of where we've been this past week. The first week of eating, we've asked you to do a 70-20-10 split with your macronutrients, so 70% of your calories coming from fat. I know that was a shocker for lots of you. I know it was for me. And 20% of your calories coming from your protein and 10% coming from your carbs. And thank you for sharing your trackers. It's good to see that you're working toward those numbers, understanding that you might not hit them every time and you may never hit them. The idea is to up your healthy fats, to lower your carbs, and to moderate your protein, and to get into that routine as closely as you can. One of the things that Stacy and I are going to be moving you into for week now 3, second week of eating, but third week of our group, is we're going to continue offering you more of the science and more of the education around overall gut health. We're going to focus a little bit more on emotional eating and how to really help through those times when you feel like you want to eat, but you think you're hungry, but you're really not. It's more out of emotion. With boredom being the number one reason why we tend to eat out of cycle, or we tend to just grab for food and habit. So we're going to offer you some podcasts around that. But we have more medical doctors and other pieces of literature and research that we want to offer to you to help bolster your own library of knowledge, so that you can speak confidently about this with other people, but also understand why we're asking you to or inviting you to do this with us. The other thing that we want you to do moving into tomorrow, and we'll put this in our tomorrow's post, we want you now to use this next week to be a study of one. So you've been a study of one this whole time, and what that means is that you are studying yourself. We gave you a meal plan. We're giving you some protocols and some parameters to follow. However, what we don't want you to do is what every other diet plan does, and it tells you that you have to follow this rule, you have to do it this way, because we know that that doesn't work for everybody. Your body is unique. What works for me is not going to work for Stacy, and we've talked about that. So we want you to continue experimenting this week. We had you at 70-20-10 with your macros. And if you want to experiment with those macros moving into this week, then that's what we want you to do. And there's going to be some parameters around that. Not everyone necessarily needs to be at a 70% fat intake or a 10% carb intake. And so if you are at a place where you feel like you want to experiment a little, and only you know that. I mean, I am really I love where I'm at, so I'm going to kind of stay where I'm at. But you might not like where you're at. You might want to see how a different percentage breakdown works for you and to track that. What we're going to ask that you do is, if you experiment with it, we don't want you to have anything under 50% of your calories coming from fat. We want at least 50% fat in your diet. We don't want you to have any more than 35% protein. Okay, so if you remember, it's not about more protein. That's where that Atkins diet failed. You all hear Atkins and people are like, oh, you're doing Atkins. No, we're not doing Atkins. We're doing low carb, high fat. We're studies of one, right? So Atkins always kind of had the low carb, high fat part right, but the protein was way too high in an Atkins approach. And what happened is we had liver failure happening, you had kidney failure happening, you had gluconeogenesis, what happens when you have too much protein in your body is it converts to glucose. And we already know what glucose does. It spikes our insulin up, and that's where you get weight gain and you get weight loss resistance. So protein, in effect, when you have too much in your body, is the same as having too much sugar in your body. So we've got to moderate protein. I need you to be making sure you're tracking that and not going over 35% of your total calories in protein. You can come in under it. That's cool, but not over it. And then we don't want you to have any more than 20% of your total calories coming from your carbohydrates. We've had you working at around a 10%, but you might feel better. You might feel more comfortable at 15 or up to 20% on your carbs. But your carbs, you guys, you have to remember, you don't want starchy carbs. This is not a free-for-all that you can now eat potato chips and you can have white rice and quinoa and all the grains under the sun. That's not what we're saying. We want you to have green leafy vegetables. If you need a starch, sweet potato, but just a little bit, because again, that's a root vegetable too, and we just want to make sure that you aren't undoing a lot of the good work that you've gained over the course of this week. All right, so all of those kind of food rules, I don't like to use the term rules, but the food parameters around the good green leafy vegetables, those that are high in fiber, that's what we want you to stick with. Because once you start upping those carbs and you start upping your insulin and your sugar, and then you're going to go back to being a sugar burner, and that's not what we want for you, okay, because you've come this far with it. Does that make sense? Okay, I know I'm talking a lot and I'm talking fast, but and so we're going to also ask either in tomorrow's call to action post or no later than Tuesday, we will ask you to share what you're landing on for the week in terms of what your macros are going to be. You're not confined to that, but at least gets your intention set for the week. It allows Stacy and I to help support you through that, and we're going to be able to share. So, you know, Karen, you might be at a 50-20-30 split, and I might stay at 70-20-10, and we can kind of and learn from each other the way that we've been learning over the past two. Make sense? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So we wanted to ask you some questions and get some engagement going and make sure that we offer enough time for you to ask us some questions. But I'll start, Stacy, you know, overall, can you tell us what changes that you have experienced in the past 2 weeks that we've been here? Anybody? We'll call on you.
What a huge mindset shift this was going to be. And like, I'm eating bacon and I'm like feeling guilty, like, I'm bacon, how can I do that? And like tonight, I'm like, let me go drink something crazy, because more, and just realize how much extra baggage I've been carrying just surrounding food. Like, it's just food, it's just what your body runs on. So it's been good to kind of face some of those issues.
Definitely. Who else? How are you feeling overall? And what changes have you noticed? Amy?
Well, the intermittent fasting is getting a lot easier for me, and I think that it's because I'm really trying to increase my fat so I can go longer without eating. So that's been very interesting for me. But I'm literally obsessed with Shakeology. I'm totally obsessed with it. It's the first time I've tried it, and I have to have it. I can't live without it now, so it's different for me.
Welcome to our world. It's like,
yeah.
It's really,
Right.
yeah.
Anybody else have anything on the first question? We can go to the second question.
And they might be this, you know, there might be this, these are lots of crossover, but we wanted to know what one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far in our time, whether it's something educational or just about your body.
Well, I'm just learning I don't have to do every 2 to 3 hours. I last couple months, it's not that I'm shaking 3 hours, which means I've got to eat something because I'm just shaking. Like even yesterday, yesterday. I'm like, hey, I could just do 2 meals today and I'm fine. Like I feel so much better. So because I'm just kind of packing it in. Today, as I've had some digestive issues this week, but that seems to have resolved yesterday. So some of those things I'm going to wean out, and I'm going to experiment with stuff with egg. That would, so I'm just thinking, I don't have to plan and take a big to school every day and eat everything.
That's something I really like too. The meal prep was like 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday to get me to Thursday. And now it's so different, you know. I've really appreciated that a lot.
Anybody else? I know for me, it's just, and I've mentioned this in our group, it's turned on its head everything that I've ever known, and I think probably the same for most of you. But as a fitness professional, it's been kind of like, oh my gosh, I've been teaching other people for as long as I've been in this industry that you have to eat high protein, or that you have to eat every couple of hours. It's what I did. It's what I was told. It's what I was taught. And you know, for a while it worked, but then all of a sudden it didn't. You know, it works until it doesn't. And so I know for me, it's been really a shift in terms of how to try to educate people from a place of, hey, look, we've all in this learning environment. It's not that anybody maliciously has been telling us wrong information, except maybe the big food companies who control the industry really, and it's money driven. But those of us who have all been kind of consumers have been doing the best we can with information that we get. And, you know, the U.S. government still today is following that same food pyramid, despite there not being any research, but government's paid for by big food industry and big food companies. So if you follow the money, it's just, it's amazing to me. So that's been a big aha moment for me. Have any of you, what's been your challenge? Let's move into some challenges. What's been hard for you?
Nothing hard? I don't believe that.
May I say something now?
Yes.
Well, a challenge for me is I've been experiencing a little bit of like blurred vision and kind of some lightheadedness. So I'm not sure if that's maybe setting my calories too low, or maybe the carb percentage is just a little low for me personally. So I'm trying to maybe this week evaluate that, because it's probably not a good sign if my body's reacting that way. And another thing is just the way I'm wired is, you know, if my thing says 1,500 calories, you know, I'm kind of anal about sticking to it. So I know you did advise us not to be so rigid, but it's sort of just how I'm wired.
So maybe up your calories. So put in your, whatever tracker you got, up your calories, maybe up your percentage of carbs a little bit as we study this week, and just track, see if that helps you. If you know that you are a stickler for what's on that, you know, what you've set for your caloric intake, you know, 1,500 is still kind of low, to be honest with you. I mean, the other thing that we're also experiencing is that when I eat 2,000 or more calories is when my body responds the best. And that blows my mind, you know, because I'm coming from like a 21-day fixed mentality, which has me in a 1,200 category bracket. Yes. And, you know, so experiment, you know, experiment. Absolutely. And let us know, because we don't want you to continue to have any type of blurred vision or headaches or anything like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I know for me, real quick, and this might not be for you, but when I had my kids and my hormones were all balancing out, which is how when we eat like this, it's hormonal as well. We're going through hormonal changes, so that could very well be. I had blurred vision. I had migraines. Half the road I'd be driving and it would be missing. Like it would freak me out. So I had an MRI done, nothing wrong with me. It was all hormonal. So I'm not saying that's your issue. I think this week, yeah, play with your macros. But it could also be a little bit of hormones going on there too. And hopefully you pass once the balance out. So that's just something I wanted to share just so that you know.
Thank you.
So Stacy, we're coming up on our 30 minutes, I think, aren't we?
Well, I'm not getting the warning that it's
Okay,
pick us up, so I think we're okay still.
So why don't we move to kind of what do you have any burning questions? We want to make sure we answer those as we move into the next week. Is there anything that we haven't addressed that you need us to, that you've been curious about?
How do you know if you are in ketosis?
It's a great question. So there are some fairly cheap, so you could always get the ketone strips at the local drugstore, and we can post that in the group, Stacy. The thing with ketosis is that, you know, there's kind of like a honeymoon period where you put urine on a strip and then it's going to give you a color basically to let you know. There are much more expensive ways that I wouldn't suggest that we do at this point, but you can do that. But overall, honestly, whether or not you're in nutritional, all of you are probably at some point in nutritional ketosis at this point. If you've been following and trying to get as close to that 70% fat and 10% carbohydrate, you are likely in nutritional ketosis in some point in time. Your body is starting to become more of a fat burner, no doubt. So if you don't want to get the ketone strips, then I wouldn't worry about it because there's only going to be a certain amount of time before your body's going to be producing your ketones, and it's not going to have the result on the strip anymore. Go by how you feel. I mean, if you feel you have more energy, if you're not as hungry, if you're able to sustain your intermittent fasting window, you feel overall good and your weight's coming down, whether or not your weight's coming down, because, you know, for me, it's different. Like I've lost 2 pounds, so it's not a weight loss thing. But if you have weight to lose and your weight's coming off, then let that be your guide. Okay. That's really what we want you to focus on more than anything. It's how you feel and how your body's responding. Yeah.
I posted the link with the ketosis strips, test strips on the feed where our Zoom link is, just so you can look. I have them, but this is day 28 and I don't believe it's working anymore.
Right.
So they're $8 for 100 strips, but you're probably going to use them for a few weeks and then you're not going to have.
Yeah.
It's not going to be right. So.
Right. So if you're interested, I would do it now and just get a thing, because any trace amount means that you're in nutritional ketosis. You know, and that's a good thing for sure. But if you're like your cycle, you're menstruating or anything like that, it's gonna give you a false reading.
Okay.
I cut you off, Lindsay. Is there something else?
No, I was just going to say, like, tonight I still have, like, 45 grams of protein and 63 grams of fat, and I'm not hungry, and I really don't want to eat anything, you know?
Sure. Then don't eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Listen to your body, but let's connect and figure out, you know, kind of, maybe we might have to recalculate. Is that kind of happening every day? Or is that?
No.
Okay.
Mainly just today, but I think a lot of it's because of the injury too.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't felt good, so.
Right.
But I think this whole group though has cut snacking to nothing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so I love that.
If you're not hungry, if you're truly not hungry, then I wouldn't eat, and don't just eat to fill your macros, because that's when you start making bad choices. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna eat a thing of butter and call it a night. You know, you don't want that. You don't want that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
What other questions do you guys have? We got about 8 minutes and then we're going to get the boot here. Any other questions you guys can think of that?
You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hey, Chef. So one of the things we want to ask also, if there is anything more, we encourage you, and we can post these questions in the group as well if you want to offer, if you're more comfortable answering them in written form. But do you have a support system outside of our group? Thumbs up or medium, thumbs down? No, Amy, really?
No, it's just they're very cautious.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
They're just concerned.
Have Matt call me and I'll make sure.
Okay.
Well, it's important because, and that's another thing with these groups. I mean, we are here to help support each other, and we love what we do. And that's why we like these Zoom calls as well, because we are connecting and we're being vulnerable and we're sharing. But it's really important also that if you can help, foster whoever is outside of you, because we know that, the majority, obviously, of your time is spent with your loved ones and your friends, and they're not going to understand this, because we all probably came into this at different points in time, right? And we're still trying to wrap our minds around this, so it's hard for our people who love us to kind of look at us not eating or, upping all this fat and feeling concerned, and that makes sense. The best that we can do is keep educating as much as possible, but you have Stacy, you have me, you have all 67 people in this group to count on, and not just for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We're going to continue offering you a place to connect with each other beyond this group too. So just know that.
What I've noticed, though, when you tell people you're doing this, they think you're nuts.
Yeah.
They really think you're crazy, like you're not eating, and
Right.
It's hard to explain too,
Yeah. So, so I don't, I tell them I'm experimenting with my nutrition. I'm experimenting with my macronutrients. And right now I ate earlier. I'm just not hungry right now. So I'm going to pass on food, but thanks for being concerned about me. So.
That's good.
Anything else? Because we're going to get kicked off, I think, right, Stacey?
Well, we're at 5 minutes. And
okay.
Yep. So we could talk about the fitness portion if anyone wants to share how you're liking your fitness program, what you're doing. If you have any questions about that side. No.
I have a frozen shoulder from core divorce and other things, so I'm out for a little bit. I was bummed out the other day. I kept crying last week.
Aww. Are you able to walk or do something just for your mental sanity? Because that's what I need it for.
That one right there. So I read number 5. She's busier than all of them.
Aww.
Yeah.
So
it'll get better.
Another thing you'll notice that Stacey and I aren't focusing as much on your fitness. Now that's hard to admit as a Beachbody coach, because fitness is my life. I love it. I love the fitness part, and we're still doing it, and we want you to. That's why we have you get your Beachbody On Demand All Access. But what we're trying to also help you focus on for majority of your work in this group is on your nutrition, because that's 80%, if not more, of your results. That part of that thinking was, eat less, move more movement, eat less, move more. And where did that get us? It didn't get us very far. So it's not about eating less, moving more. It's about eating the right macronutrients and understanding your body and complementing that with really good, effective fitness. But understanding that fitness isn't the driver, your nutrition is. Okay. So once we can kind of get that nutrition in check, and then you're pairing it with your fitness, that we want to make that shift for people. Because I know people who would go and exercise for 2 hours after eating a piece of cake, thinking that that's going to help them, and it just makes you crazy. It doesn't yield the result you want. So, okay.
Anybody else have anything to add? We'll wrap it up. We appreciate you guys taking some time tonight and getting on with us. And never hesitate to ask if anything comes up. That's what we're here for. We love so much. So just let us know what you need, and we're here for you. And we will see you all tomorrow.
Thanks,
Okay.
ladies.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Night.